Good morning, boys and girls. This morning we are going to do our annual IPE deck maintenance. If you're like me, someone probably told you at one point, IPE, it looks amazing and it requires no maintenance. Well, they kind of lied. It was the word and. IPE, if you do not do maintenance, it looks fine, but it will look gray like this. If you want that wet look, that beautiful brown signature look, fortunately you have to do maintenance every year. But it's really not that hard if you optimize the steps. And those steps are, you got to clean off the old finish because it's been beaten down by the sun. Then you have to do a light sanding, a little brightener. Then you put your Penofin oil down and wipe it, and you're done. It will be beautiful once again. So let's get started. The first step is to clean off the old finish. There are a lot of wood cleaners. I use the Penofin ProTech wood cleaner. It seems to work very well. You mix it in one of these spray containers, following the instructions. You pump it up. I like to work on one area at a time because you need to let it sit for 15 minutes before you use the pressure washer to take up the finish. So here we go. Now we just wait 15 minutes. If while you're waiting for that 15 minutes, the sun is really shining and it starts to dry, all you do is take your pressure washer and just twist it. And now, the magic of the pressure washer. Okay, you can see now that we have used the cleaner and the power washer, it's taken off all of the gray. But there's one more very important step. That is sanding. After you do the power washing, what will happen is that the fibers in the IPE wood stick up and don't create a smooth surface for the Penofin to hold. Secondly, by creating a super smooth surface, the next time you go to remove the finish next year, it will come up as easily as it just did this time. Otherwise, it's a lot more work getting up the old finish. Now, you don't have to get down on your hands and knees to scan. You can get one of these Oreck Orbiters. They're not very expensive, and use a sanding disc. The sanding disc attaches to the bottom of one of the pads, and you're ready to go. Okay, we finished sanding this entire section of the deck. Now we're going to blow off the sawdust. The next step is usually to put on brightener. Now the brightener does a couple of things. One is it will get rid of any brown spots that are left, and the second is it will adjust the pH value. Now since we've done a very thorough sanding, I'm going to skip this step. I will end up doing it probably every other year. Okay, so it's now time to stain the deck. We're going to use this Penofin for hardwood. It is 99% UV protected, which means you hope to get through an entire season of the sun beating down on it. So what do we need to do this? Well, we need a tray, or a little Penofin in the tray. And we need a staining pad. The staining pad will give you much smoother coverage than using a brush alone, but you still want to back brush it and make sure that it gets into the grain. And finally, the most important thing is the wipe. You have to wipe up the excess Penofin that will end up on the deck. So I just get this big old bag of rags, and I'll show you how to apply it in a moment. So, get started. Just get our stain brush wet. Start applying the stain. You don't want to apply too much because you'll just have to do a lot more wiping at the end. Want to work it in a fair bit. IPE is a very dense wood. Once you feel that you've got a section evenly applied where there's really nothing standing and it is absorbed as much as you think you can get into it without any excess on the top, then you back brush it. So now the most important thing is to wipe up the excess. You want to leave this maybe a half an hour, depending on the heat. You don't want to let it get tacky, but you don't want to take it off too soon either, because you want as much as possible to absorb it. You use rags. I don't like to get down on my hands and knees to wipe floors, so I do the Hudson Valley two-step. Now, what you'll find is, when you finish wiping, it will appear like you've gotten all of the excess up. And it will appear somewhat dry. But a few minutes later, you will find little spots where you get little beads of Penofin coming up. So it's very important to go back over them, because those little beads are not your friend. They will cause footprints and splotches. So the most important thing is to get all of the Penofin up so that it appears that there's no liquid-like surface going on. Okay, in a couple of hours we finished applying the stain, doing several wipes, making sure that there is no residual oil on the deck, and here you have it. So you're looking at maybe 8 hours for a 400 square foot deck every year to restore it to its natural beauty.